Hey guys, welcome. So I know originally I had said that I was not doing any podcast recording and everything was going to be just on pause for the month of September and that I would be coming back to you in October. I have this list of awesomeness that I'm bringing back in October with a relaunch and everything's so exciting, but I've been sitting here, literally been sitting here for the last week, and there's this conversation that keeps happening between myself and other people around me. And it's something that I wanted to share. I feel like it's a conversation that many of us need to hear, not just myself. So that's why I'm here. I'm just jumping in. I'm literally stuck on the couch right now, and I look like a bag of ass, but that's okay, right? So today I want to share something it's really been on my mind, and honestly it's something I know that I'm still learning myself because sometimes we think we've got everything figured out, right? We think that we know it all, we've got the best, we know the best and all this kind of stuff. Only oftentimes when we get into that mind frame, we find ourselves kind of back at square one again. And I'll be honest, that's where I have been this past week. Okay. So my back went out again. It's kind of been this like reoccurring theme in my life that every time I push myself too hard, it seems like my back decides that it's time to remind me who's in charge of this situation. And, you know, I'll be in a space where I'm going full steam ahead, I'm juggling everything, and I'm trying to be everything to everyone. And then all of a sudden, bam, my back goes out. My back goes out, and it literally forces me to sit down and take a break. It's, it's like my body has this built in mechanism to stop me from overdoing it. And let me tell you, it is not a gentle nudge or a gentle, like, hey, you need to sit down. It is like a full on tackle. And it is a full on, you are not getting up until you sit down and slow down kind of message. It's funny. Well, maybe let's call it ironic, how life really has this way of forcing us to stop when we refuse to do it ourselves, right? And you know what? It's been crazy for me because I am I'm this whole week I've been in a situation where I've had to learn to lean on my family. And like literally lean on them many different times. My son, my husband, I've had to ask for help. And if you know me, you know this is hard for me to do. I'm not great at asking for help. I'm better than I used to be, but I'm not great at it. It's something that I literally practice all the time. It's something that I put into practice is learning and trying to ask for help. And because I've spent a lot of my life being super reliant, um, thinking, okay, I've got this, I can do this, I got this on my own, and I don't need your help. I'm so used to being the helper in many situations and not needing to be the one who needs help. But this reoccurring back injury is this constant reminder that every time I get into that mind frame of I got this, I can do this by myself, or I don't need to listen, I can do this. It's this reoccurring thing that comes back and says, no, dude, like slow down, right? So this past week, I've been unable to do simple things. Like I couldn't even put my pants on the other day. I had to wait for my husband to get home from work to have a shower because I knew that once I had showered, that was like I needed help. I couldn't get pants back on after that, right? Or even my shirt. My back was so bad that just putting my arms up the other day, I couldn't even do that. It was so painful. So here I am, literally having to ask to get dressed, you know? And then that's when it hit me. I am really still learning this lesson. I'm really still in that space of recognizing these patterns that aren't serving me. I thought in January, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to push myself this hard again. I totally am listening and I'm doing my thing. And it's funny because 2 weeks ago, my husband reminded me, you don't have to push this hard. And I was like, no, I do. I really do. I got to do this, right? So, this pattern of pushing myself past my limits for others and thinking, I don't need the help. I can do this. And I will tell you, just seeing that pattern in yourself, it's not easy because it's like, better. You're like, what the you want to smack yourself upside the head and be like, better. Why are you doing this? And it's so frustrating. But the first step that I'm really going to acknowledge, and this is something that I share with other people when they come to me with this kind of stuff, and this is something that was shared with me, is when you start to recognize these patterns in yourself, when you start to see that is something that's not serving me, and I'm seeing it now, and I'm becoming cognizant of it, instead of just not understanding what's going on, right? Is to be proud of the fact that you can now see what's going on, right? So I had to sit down and say to myself, okay, Victoria, this pattern isn't serving you, and it's okay to let it go. It's okay to let go of the need to push yourself farther. It's okay to let go of the idea that if you don't show up, people are going to be upset with you. Like, it's okay to let go of that, right? So if you're like me, if you found yourself in this similar cycle of pushing beyond your limits, or getting in the negative patterns that you can see them, you're like, shit, I'm doing it again. I want you to pause, and I want you to recognize, am I seeing this pattern? First of all, if you're seeing the pattern, huge step, right? So if you're like me and you're like, okay, I'm seeing it, holy shit, I'm doing it again. I want to take a pause. And I want to see, and I want to acknowledge that I'm proud of myself, that I'm recognizing this pattern that isn't serving me, this pattern that is pushing me beyond where I need to be. And I encourage you, what I do is I find this positive statement. So the fact that I am proud of myself, that I'm seeing this pattern, and then I am recognizing it as showing up again. And I'm recognizing that it really isn't serving me. And I'm going to repeat that over and over again until I really feel and believe that I'm proud of myself for recognizing it, right? Because it really should be real to you that you can recognize that sometimes we're human and we make mistakes and we follow these negative patterns because they're almost ingrained in us. Well, they pretty much are. They are ingrained in us, right? So then comes the next step after you recognized, okay, here I am, I'm stuck on the couch. I recognize that it's because I pushed myself harder than I needed to be. Pushing myself, I recognize that all the things, I let go of self-care, of sleep, I let go of taking time for myself. I wasn't doing my daily walks. I was literally seeing 3 to 4 more patients a day than I really should have been seeing. I could tell in my body that it was happening, that I was in a mind frame. But I was stuck in the mind frame of I need to do more, right? I am proud of myself for now being able to recognize these things that happened. So I recognize it. And then step 2, which honestly, this may be the hardest one, is self-forgiveness, right? I have to forgive myself for pushing too hard, for thinking that I had to be this superhuman that could do all the things, especially in this chaos right now, right? It's tough to admit that sometimes, we're just humans. We just do the best we can, and oftentimes that means we fudge things up a little bit, right? We are human, and it's totally okay. It's okay to forgive yourself for those moments when you feel like you've completely let yourself down, or let others down, or whatever it is, right? When I was getting ready for work on Tuesday and my back went out, I instantly got mad at myself. Like, I'm so mad. How dare I do this to myself again? And I knew, oh, this is my fault because I pushed myself, and I got really down on myself and really upset. And I had to be like, it took me about 2 days to get to this point of like forgiving myself. Okay, I did push myself too hard, and I see that now, but I need to forgive myself for doing that and stepping back into that human conditioning, right? And it's okay to forgive yourself in those moments when you feel like you've let yourself down. It's okay to do that. And then and then there's trust. This is a really hard one, okay? Especially when you've spent years being self-reliant. But, like this time I had no choice. I had to trust that this was the right thing, that I needed to rest. I had to trust that my family around me would be able to take care of the things that needed to be done. And I had to not judge me for needing the help, which is tough because I often get in the mind frame of judging myself when I ask for help. So, guess what? When I trusted, they were there. They did come and help me. There was a point the other day where they literally had to put a piece of plywood behind me to get me up because I was stuck. I could not use my body at all to lift myself up out of the position that I had gotten into to stretch my back. And I had to trust them to lift me. It was horrible, but very, very much so a space that I needed to be in, right? And every step of the way they've been there. They haven't judged me. They've just been there to help me. And, they're reminding me that it's okay that I needed the help. We're not meant as humans to carry everything on our own. We're not meant to be in solidarity by ourselves, right? Trust is one of those lessons that I've been really, really trying to learn for a long time now. And as much as I don't like to admit it, this time it really hit me. It really hit home. I needed to grasp this lesson. I think before I found myself in a position where I have no choice but to be fully supported, especially now as I step away from my job. And it's a different kind of vulnerability, I guess, to accept that you can't always rely solely on yourself. And you would think like I would have learned this lesson a long time ago, but it just keeps coming back. And while it's uncomfortable, it's very uncomfortable. It's forcing me to get comfortable with letting others support me. And to be okay when I reach out and they can't support me as well, right? It's this That's a whole nother podcast. I will dig into that a whole nother time. But um so if you're in this place right now where you feel like you've got to do it all alone, I'm here to tell you you really don't. Okay? Preaching to the choir. The choir is right here and I'm preaching. Because you've got people around you who care and it's okay to lean on them. In fact, it's often necessary to lean on these people because we really can't do things all by ourselves. And like I said, I really am learning this lesson the hard way myself, especially right now, as I'm literally on the couch in my pajamas recording this podcast because I just wanted to share this with you guys. And, you know, many of us have people in our lives that are always there, that are ready to listen, that are ready to support with that open heart. And sometimes they can't physically do the things that we need them to do to be there for us. But how often, this is a great example, how often have I reached out to somebody and been like, oh my God, I'm so burnt out and this is happening, this. And all I really needed was that support for them to say, yeah, because you're doing too much again. That external voice to be like, this is not serving you, right? That's a huge support right there. So, trust me, you are much stronger than you give yourself credit for. And you are really going to be heading into a future that is filled with so many beautiful possibilities, including possibilities for you to work with, trust, and lean on those around you that love you. So let's make a promise to each other that we will keep practicing how to lean on each other. Let's keep asking for help. Let's keep forgiving ourselves when we do too much or we fall back into that old human pattern. And let's start trusting that the people around us that really do show up for us are there to help us and not judge us, right? And until next time, guys, please remember that we are the only ones responsible for our own self-care. And remember that when you take responsibility for what's really going on, when you actually look at it and understand fully, you don't have to be navigating it alone. Okay? I hope this helps. And I will see you in October full time with some amazing podcasts. I cannot wait to come back fully and be present for you guys fully.